Just ahead of free practice 1 at the 70th anniversary Grand Prix at Silverstone, there was big news in the paddock. Racing Point's brakes were the centre of it, and actually everybody sort of expected it. In 2019, Mercedes gave Racing Point a set of its front brake ducts, and they were used on the 2020 Racing Point car. They were also used on the 2019 Racing Point as well at the latter part of the season. And that's really important because when you look at the rear brake ducts, Racing Point had also got a set of those from Mercedes last season, and they copied them for the 2020 car. This morning, the FIA declared that that approach was not legal, and those rear brake ducts are no longer compliant with the sporting regulations in Formula One because Racing Point did not design them themselves. Racing Point has argued that the word design is not really defined in the Formula One regulations, but the FIA were not having any of it. Now, it's really crucial to understand that because the front brake ducts were used on the car in 2019, the FIA have ruled that that has become part of the car's DNA. In 2019, brake ducts were not listed parts. You could buy them from anyone. Any team could use any other team's brake ducts. In 2020, that rule changed. Racing Point suggested because it designed the RP20 in 2019, those sporting regulations applied. Again, the FIA weren't having any of it, but they did accept that because they'd raced those parts in 2019, they were legal to be used in 2020. But because the rear brake duct was not used, that is not legal. And that's created a slightly strange situation. Racing Point has a legal rear brake duct. Everybody accepts it, and the FIA have said that. However, the FIA have said because it's already raced them and they're integrated with the rear of the car, then they are able to continue racing them this season. But every time they race them, they'll get a reprimand. They won't get a protest, and you cannot protest those rear brake ducts. A lot of the rival teams are not really happy with this. Racing Point have been docked 15 constructors' points, no drivers' points, and hit with a €400,000 fine. But the other teams are saying, look, this doesn't go far enough. We need to make real clarity on what's acceptable. Racing Point can't continue the season running illegal parts on their car, surely? Well, we don't know. In the event of an appeal, there's going to be a lot of teams and a lot of lawyers involved, and it could take 1 or 2 months to get a final judgment on what's accepted. But there have been some crucial other findings from that judgment. So Racing Point's approach of taking pictures of last year's Mercedes, scaling them, copying them and building a replica has been deemed entirely acceptable underneath the regulations. This ruling says you can do that, and it's part and parcel of Formula One. So in summary, that could have a big effect on teams like Haas and AlphaTauri, who've copied a number of elements from Ferrari and Red Bull, respectively. What that means is that what Racing Point have done here by copying Mercedes' brand new 2020 rear wing end plate and fitting it to their 2020 car is considered completely acceptable. Even though they didn't really design it, they straight up copied it. That is acceptable at the moment. However, Formula One has said that they are, and the FIA have said that they're not really happy with this approach. They don't want a grid full of Mercedes clones next season. So there is going to be a rule change for 2021. And that rule change will see the Racing Point approach of completely copying a rival's car outlawed. Exactly how the wording is going to come out that does that, it's a little bit early to say, and I'm struggling to see how you're going to do that, but the rule makers are quite clever. However, it isn't going to ban the 2020 Racing Point racing as an Aston Martin in 2021, but because that car has already raced, it's then considered legal for 2021. Whether the rest of the teams are happy about that, we'll see. I think there's still a lot of discussions going on, but this is going to be a crucial rule change for the next few months and all of next season in Formula One.